Because I'd like to understand, how do artists or how can artists actually make money these days?
Yeah, so I think, when I built the business, it was essential. First, we were one of the few business to be profitable from day one. And that was essential in a sector where most of my competitors are acquiring social status or are non-regarding to whether or not they're making money. And that was the same way in which we therefore wanted our artists to be very sustainable financially. I think, again, the economics for us is very much the vehicle to change. So they have to be empowered economically, and we have to be doing well economically, because that is what we believe to be also the change within otherwise a sector that's very stuck in. Mm-hmm. So I think revenue streams is really equal, from public art projects to art sales to brand collaborations to communication deals. So Delphine Diallo, one of my Brooklyn-based photographer, just got the Chanel No. 5 contract to rethink the impact that Chanel No. 5 had. So reshaping the idea of the perfume and retaking the idea that, I don't know how much you know about Chanel No. 5, but the founder, Gabrielle Chanel, was very disruptive in her time. And she was collaborating with tons of artists when she launched it, and kind of going back to those principles. So that will be also bringing that kind of deal. Equally, we booked her on multiple editorial shoots with Condé Nast at the same time, and the Gap Group too. Equally, she had a 12-meter exhibition in central London for 10 months that was supported and paid for by the Crown Estate and Westminster in central London. She was also on advertising screen in the center of Los Angeles, meanwhile selling art, and just recently been seen at an auction run by ex-Sotheby's and therefore in the art newspaper. So that's an example. That's all us, connecting the dots. It's a bit like when you go on the website of William Morris, they have their name and then there's all connected dots. Our brains are the same. You just have a name of an artist and then you just connect the dots everywhere, and you just make sure that every single person or key person in your network that will be relevant to them is connected, and revenue is being derived at every angle of this. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. One of the things that I read was that when you take on an artist and you get over 200 applications a month, if I'm correct, is that right?
Very good reading, very good research.
Yeah. Is that you give them some money every month to be able to live and to do art. Is that correct?
Yeah. So the thinking was twofold. I don't have parents who are business people. My mom is a primary teacher, my dad is a sport teacher. So I was trying to think, how can I build foundations where my business is safe for the years to come and I can do absolutely what I love? Meanwhile, obviously have something that I can scale with this. So my thinking was, I need to have somehow a business that is cash flow based, but also asset based. So then I can basically be ultra safe. And as I want to kind of scale. So the cash flow was all the revenue streams I gave you. The asset that was like, what my artists need is a constant support and a constant financial support. If I found a way through the cash flow to be able to back them every month on their studio and production costs, in exchange, they will give me a work per year. If they dump me after a few years because we've done a great job or because something else happened, which I don't wish for because that's the worst case scenario, but let's say they become major and they dump me, I don't want to be in a position where business-wise, this is something that will impact me. I want to be in a position where that's only going to be sad emotionally, but professionally, we can celebrate it. And so that's what the value of our corporate collection was built on. So we have 267 works right now that we own from artists we've backed, from artists we have now seen the markets really rising since. So for instance, like an obvious, which were the first AI artwork ever sold at Christie's in 2018 for $500,000, we would have a work of this. So we have a collection that basically keeps on growing in terms of value. And it means that I can resell any of those works to resupport the rest of the artists if something was to go terribly wrong. If not, it means that we just have, an exponential corporate collection that is incredibly valid in the contemporary landscape. And then we can decide next what we want to do with this. Ironically, this has also become a source of revenue, but that was definitely non-planned because we've had loads of people who wanted to borrow from that collection. But this is where
who want to borrow the art and who will pay you a rental fee?
Yes, so we've had a lot of these inquiries. I don't believe in rental of art as a business because I think the logistics and the admin are too expensive to pull this business forward.
Okay.
But I think because we own the assets and because we already insure them, and therefore the logistics is minimal.
Yes.
We've actually been able to derive a lot of revenue from it completely by accident because that was never part of the thinking. But the UBP, which is one of the few large-scale privately owned bank, for instance, will be borrowing the corporate collection on a regular basis.
Oh, great. And so you've created like, what are they called? Like a Y Combinator, but for artists, right? They can come, they get paid, they have to give you, it's not a percentage of their company, but it's a piece of art every year, right? Which is like, it's like an investment and a return thing. It's their time, but then they get to focus on what they do. The two of you are connected a lot more financially, and it seems like a very smart strategy. And obviously this was started a few years ago now. So now you've got 267 pieces of art. So you've been doing this for a while now. Yeah,
I think so we've been together. We've been as a company for the past 5 years. I mean, we've had an exponential growth over the past year, also because I've had 3 entrepreneurs selling their companies to join me, which has made a huge difference.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like an early stage. I mean, I think we've borrowed CAA as a model, B Corp because we're definitely left wing, and the early stage understanding of backing brains, which to an extent CAA does anyway. They back brains. So I think we're kind of an inspiration from the 3 angles. But I think early stage VCs definitely see themselves in what we do in terms of how we act, how we recruit, how we back. But ultimately, it's about believing in backing people. Like that's just basically just, being confident in spotting the right personality, spotting the right talent, and benefiting from having spotting that person and being trusted for that value as well.
Yeah, sure. Oh, that's super smart strategy. I like smart business models and smart thinking. I think that's extremely smart and very hard to compete against. Sorry?
It feels like a cooking recipe, right? Because it just feels like we put everything in a pot and suddenly it happened and it worked out, which is really nice.